sithwalisisa basobom somthana ezulwini Zulu yenxeba ingabolucamo luvulelwe mna
Now, dear Lord, as we pray, take our hearts and minds far away from the press of the world all around to your throne where grace does abound. Now, dear Lord, as we pray, take our hearts and minds far away from the press of the world all around to your throne where grace does abound. May our lives be transformed by your love. May our souls be refreshed from above. At this moment, let people everywhere join us as we come to you in prayer. May our lives be transformed by your love. May our souls be refreshed from above. At this moment, let people everywhere join us as we come to you in prayer. At this moment, let people everywhere join us as we come to you
day, everybody. My name is Bukulu Ntombela, and with me, I'm with Prof. Paswana, who is a professor at UNISA under the African Leadership Studies. And I just want to give her an opportunity to be able to introduce herself and tell us a bit about the person that she is and how would she then describe herself to us.
Thank you, Bukulu, and good day, STASA members. I think it's a very interesting question where you talk about yourself.
Correct.
In many places, you don't get to talk about yourself unless if you're preparing for an interview. So, Edith Paswana is the second born and the first daughter of Ntate Lesetja Lemme Ramolokwane Kekana, who happened to find themselves as young men and women in Johannesburg, here in Soweto. And I was born in Soweto. Okay. My parents originally from Limpopo, a place called Zebediela. Okay. Our family, them, they are the tribal authorities of the village, my father's family. So my father, as a young man, I think he was attracted to the city and left Zebediela to come here. His father also did the same, and that's how we found ourselves in Soweto. And I was born there, raised in Limpopo. So I'm a hybrid of urban and rural setting, and have lived both lives. And I am a mother to a young woman called Maslelo. She's at university completing her second degree LLB at Wits. I'm also a daughter-in-law to the Paswanas. Mm-hmm. And the Paswanas, I got married to their son in 1995, and he passed on. And I stayed with the Paswanas. They are family, because that is a family that introduced me to Christ, not my husband.
Okay.
Yes. So the family that introduced me to Christ is the Paswanas. And I'm a lecturer. I'm associate professor at the Thabo Mbeki African Leadership Institute. I've worked in several places. And part of my history, I was a maths and science teacher. Yes, perhaps that's something that you won't find or you might not know. But I trained as a maths teacher and science teacher simply because somebody at my high school thought this is what I needed to do. I loved history. I enjoyed the humanities, but I was denied to do the humanities. The maths class was small, and I was also that you can do this maths. You will do this maths. Of course, as a young woman, I was always the top in my class when I was growing up. And so people felt if you are gifted and you are number one in the class, then you have to do maths and science. Your choices as a person was not important on what you know, what you want to do, what you enjoy doing. And I did that maths. I trained as a maths teacher. I went to teach mathematics. I have doctors, medical doctors. I have engineers where I'm sitting that came from my class. But I pursued part-time a degree in sociology and education. And because this is something that was close to my heart and to the person that I am, I said, I'm going to do this. And I pursued this social sciences up to a PhD level. And after completing my master's, I decided to leave the country and went to England, into the UK, to study my PhD there. And come back, do my postdoctoral studies at UJ, ended up also becoming a member of the faculty there. So I have 10 years experience of teaching in our house school, at high school.
Wow.
Yeah, teaching maths and science. And it came very handy when I was in the UK, because as a student to do peace jobs, I would go and teach science at the high schools there. I registered with an agency and then I started teaching science in the UK as well. So in a nutshell, I don't know what else you want to know, but in a nutshell, this is who I am. Yes.
No, we wanted to get to know you better because this interview is about profiling you and finding out about you and getting to know you a bit better.
Yes,
So I'm glad
yes.
that you've given us that
Perhaps,
background.
perhaps
So-
what I didn't mention that I grew up in the Dutch Reformed Church.
Okay.
I think it's important that that history also is reflected. That I grew up in the Dutch Reformed Church. This is the church that my family goes to. I joined the Adventist Church in 1995. Let me put it here. I joined the Adventist. I was exposed to the Adventist in 1995, and I got baptized in 1999. 1999 or 2000. I can't remember very well. It's
Years
quite a long
ago.
time,
Yeah.
and I got baptized at Stasa.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. So speaking of Stasa, so what role did Stasa play in your life? I think way back in varsity days, what did you hope Stasa would have accomplished by now? So this is a twofold question. We first want to
Yes.
know the role
Oh,
it played first.
Stasa, as I say, played a very important role. I was doing my honors when I got baptized at Stasa. And it was a very powerful time of Stasa. You would want to associate with the community that was at campus in December when the campus was quiet. I got baptized at the University of the North. That's where Stasa was at the time. We had interesting group of young people, very active at the time, choirs, and international speakers. I specifically was baptized by Pastor Jules as well. At the time, he was the guest speaker at the University of the North. You wouldn't miss a service because of the quality and the level of engagement and programs that Stasa put up. And we felt proud to be members, and we felt proud to be associated with these huge communities of Adventists. And we know in Mankweng, where the University of the North is based, people were doing things. There were crickets, people were out about doing things. But you wouldn't even miss programs. You wanted to be in there and enjoy and look up to these professionals and look up to these older members of Stasa and see you and envision yourself wanting to be like them.
That is powerful.
The question that I didn't ask,
Yes, the second part, so-
where you say what was Stasa could have accomplished by now?
Yes. Judging from,
Yeah.
being a powerful movement at the time that people wanted to associate
I
with.
think Stasa is over 50 years, older than me in many ways. But what do we have to account for half a century as a movement, as an association? Tangible legacy projects that we can actually say, this is what we have given South Africa. And everyone who does not know God in this space that we are occupying. I thought Stasa by now would have had a school, nyana, even if it's a primary school. I thought Stasa by now would have actually started a big project if it does not want to engage itself with physical projects, but a scholarship fund that is willing and standing, that assist young people at universities, that assist struggling young people Adventist or non-Adventist, because our STASM play a big role in terms of non-Adventist young people at universities. They bring them in, but this is a society that has no money. They rely on institutions, STASM. And we are here, we are professionals, we are working. If our if each one of us every month part with 50 rand, that could assist our young people. If it's too much to do it at the national level, can't the different chapters also be able to adopt tertiary institutions around their areas? To say we are a Limpopo chapter, there is University of the North. We have professionals, this group of professionals from Limpopo. Can we contribute 50 rand every month and see that STASM is actually functioning? If you speak to the chairpersons of STASMs in our different universities and the struggles that they have to do, taking their parents' own money sometimes to pay for another non-Adventist struggling young person to go to trips, if they have to go to trips, if they have to do programs, if they have to do anything, because we have taught them something at home to see needs where they are there. But we can't meet, they are unable to meet the needs. We had a very interesting lesson around meeting the needs. Is last year or early this year? It could be last year. That Jesus was meeting the needs of people. We come fully, smartly dressed. We have non-Adventist young people at our universities who are struggling. They are in the church. We have brought them. Some of them don't have food. We have taught these children that when somebody has no food, you need to assist. Mm-hmm. So they have their own pocket money, and they must do what? Part with it. And me and you, who are professionals, are not contributing to STASM in any way. And I think this is something that, as a legacy project, perhaps DASA can just start also try to support and assist young Adventist people at tertiary institutions. Something that also STASA could have done in its 50 years. Mm-hmm. It's actually the bridging the gap between young people at university and the TVET. Mm-hmm. We cannot operate on the way society operates on elitism and promote to look after young people, Adventist young people at universities only. This TVET also needs to be incorporated. Young people at our colleges need support. So these are some of the things. Even if this fund can be controlled by STASA National and let our young people compete for them based on their performances, based on whatever, wherever they want to go. When they do matric, they will know that there's a STASA fund existing. We are applying. If I get it, I get full scholarship. They will look after me. We can start very small, 5 or 10, I sponsor 10 or 5 people. So that's something that we could have accomplished. We don't need, if we don't need to build schools, I mean, look at Blue Hills. 2 individuals came, even outside South Africa. But here is a legacy project of their Adventism. We are a big group as DASA. What are we doing, actually, to impact this society? We are watching the society go down every day, and it feels like DASA is somewhere where we have to go for holiday in December and be able to meet old friends and marry and reminisce around certain things that we were doing in the past. It's no longer a sounding space for certain people if we don't identify a tangible. Some people don't have time, of course, are not coming, but they can contribute 50 rand. they can contribute without actually attending this end of year meetings. But let's do something. I think this is
100%.
something that we could have accomplished by now.
All right. So it's something that we could have and still can, you know.
We still
I think
can.
we still
There
can.
is still time.
There
Yeah.
is still time, which is a good thing that STASA has currently then has restructured itself to now accommodate or deal specifically with your professionals and specifically with your students and specifically with your business people. And I hope that the leadership is listening, that we need to also be looking at the TVET colleges and not just be limited to universities. And that we need to be helping, offer a hand up to the next person so that it's impactful, so that it's meaningful, and it's not something that is just a year end, of which now we're not able to have a face-to-face year-end conference. So does that then make STASA irrelevant outside of that, you know? So COVID has shown us that there is a need for that redevelopment and reevaluating and relaunching and becoming more relevant and meeting the needs of the people. So thank you so much for that. I do hope that it did not fall on deaf ears. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to move to the second segment of our show. See you after the break. Welcome back. I'm still with Prof. Paswana, and I've had the pleasure of profiling her, and we were speaking about STASA and its relevance and what it can do and how STASA has impacted her life. So STASA has not just been a holiday club as many of us have come to know it, but it used to be something that is impactful, and it can still be and is still something that is impactful and relevant to the lives of many. So what I also wanted then to ask was, your humble beginnings. Tell us about your humble beginnings, because I think it's difficult to be black in this country and not have humble beginnings, you know, that and what made you stay in a white male-dominated industry of academics in South Africa? Because we all know when you think about a professor, you're thinking about a white man who's got white hair. So it's seldom, I've never had the picture in my mind, at least, of somebody saying, hey, professor is coming, and I have a black female in mind, that could possibly be somebody who's looking like me who is coming.
Thank you, Boholo, and also members of STASA. Let me first start by saying I grew up in a family of girls. I had one brother who came before me, but died as a young baby. So that made me a firstborn, in a way. And I have two other sisters, and my father worked in Johannesburg while we were staying in Zibediela. And you know, this is very common in society like South Africa, where we live of migrant labor systems. And so I was not raised to see male privilege in my family. As girls, we were the boys of the family and the girls of the family. If a globe needed to be changed, we had to do it. There was not that thing of saying the boy will do it. So that space never prepared me enough to understand the male-dominated world, because I always had women, and I come from Zibediela. It's a very interesting space, and in the sense that we grew up seeing women, single mothers, running families, working, doing things for themselves. It's a very interesting space, and I think I need to put time in my academic research to actually understand the makeup of that community. Very interesting space. If you talk feminism, the core of feminism, you'll find it in Zibediela. But they don't know it's feminism.
It's life.
It's praxis. For them, it's life.
Yeah.
So, growing up in that space, where I had aunts, one of my aunts is actually a taxi boss. where I had this is my mother's sisters, and where I had aunts who did and operated in a male-dominated space and yet still thrive in it, I learned very early that there is nothing for me to fear about men. Men are equal human beings like us. So I grew up watching that, and this is why I was able, I think, at the time I didn't understand that these things were preparing me for a particular space that I will occupy in future. But in the end, it worked out very well that I realized that there is no limit for me for what I can do and what I can contribute in this world. God has created in me someone who looks like him, who is like him. He created both male and female to be like him. None of this should be superior to the other. So I understood very early that kind of a setup and background. And I think coming into the academy and staying, I'm staying because I have a voice. I'm staying because I want to inspire many young people who are coming after me to know that there is a place in history where these women existed in the Academy of South Africa, and we want to be like them, and we want to enter this unentered space. And I think that's what the whole thing that is keeping me there is inspiration. Inspiration for young black women who are like me, who are growing from humble beginnings, who are growing not even knowing what the word academic means, because this is me, who I'm coming from. And I wanted to be that beacon of hope for somebody who wanted to follow academia and be in this space and become a professor. And I'm staying for them. And I'm staying also to disrupt toxic masculinity, patriarchal arrogance that comes out of sin in the world. This world, it has given us things that are not desirable, undesirable things. And it's not how God created us. But one of the things, white supremacy is a big, big problem in the academy. Two, patriarchal arrogance, it's a big problem in the academy. Toxic masculinity, where the dignity of women is challenged every day. And I'm one of those women who stays in there to actually disrupt and show that this is not what the world should be about.
100%. Yeah, it takes a woman of courage to be able to do that, which I think I really admire you for that, to be able to give face to the imagination of that little girl who one day has hopes and dreams to become a professor, to say there's a trailblazer rather, who has lit up the way for me so I can see the way, So thank you so much for realizing that it's beyond just you. It's more than just your journey, but it's a journey of other women that are coming behind you who need to see that it is possible, who need to put a face to this imagination of being able to mount the platforms and become a professor in the making and impart knowledge to people. So that has been quite key, and we thank you. If we never get an opportunity to say thank you, let me take the opportunity now to say thank you for that, because it opens up our minds. It's like what Miss Universe was saying, that we need to take up spaces, right, and sit at the table and disrupt, indeed, and because if not us, then who, and teach people how to appreciate women and the contribution, the priceless contribution that we have to contribute in society. So obviously, when we are climbing up these corporate ladders, and even in the academic space, there are people who open doors for us. There are people who inspire us. As much as you are an inspiration to someone, surely there must mean somebody who inspired you, or somebody who opened the door for you, who gave you a hand up and showed you the way, mentored you. Could you perhaps tell us a bit more about that part of your journey, of people who have played a role in getting you where you are today?
Wow, so many people played a very important role in my life. And this is why I like saying it takes a whole village to raise up a child. And I am that child. I'm a proper village child. And I'm saying this because in this journey, there were people that were not related to me in any way, but who saw something in me from a very early age and who cheered me up. There were people in my family who spotted the potential and the talent in my life and spotted me and upraised me. Let's upraise our children. Let's praise them when they are doing good. Because I grew up wanting to impress. I think one of them was also my uncle, apart from my parents. But I had an uncle who happened to be a teacher. And my mom can tell you, oh, she's going to show Joe her report before we even see it.
Yeah.
Because there was something I enjoyed to see him marvel at my report and the comments he was going to make. And I looked forward to show my uncle the report. And we have a conversation, me and him. And he showed interest in me. So that's why I say part of it is the family. And, well, they are both black and white women who played a very important role in my life, and men. Mm-hmm. But maybe men, I must say, it's black men who also played a role in my life. Because of their gender, they were advantageous to know certain things. Mm. And I want to specifically also cite one of the STASA executive, former STASA executive, Midday, Professor Kanyani, is one of those people that always wanted to see the best in people. And he's a great mentor as well. And I have, in the academy, that space was never done with us in mind, in terms of its makeup, its structure, everything. When you walk at the university as a black person, particularly as a black woman, you could be mistaken and be asked, where are the bathrooms? Did you clean there? Because no one will think that you are teaching here. So you had to deliberately and intentionally create a support group and a cohort. When you see, say you are in the humanities, you see a black professor or a black lecturer from accounting, from civil engineering, you are in a meeting or orientation or workshop, you would want to go to them and speak to them because you want to create a community because of the loneliness that was there. I mean, I was probably the first black lecturer in our department. Even I was the only black in the department. And you can imagine what that situation is like. And when you go to faculty board, you are looking for black faces, but you are seeing men.
Eish.
Yeah. And you are yearning for a black woman. And then one time, here and there, you find few black women. And you begin to form solidarity spaces with them. Those are the people that also helped me to, and also, it's white women. And white women interestingly, who were gender non-conforming. Because you have different people based on their positionality. They wouldn't really embrace you. But people who have experienced marginalization and have experienced oppression and I continue to, they become your allies. And that's why I'm talking about these white women who were gender non-conforming, who were homosexual, if you like.
Yeah.
But my humanity was confirmed by them and was embraced by them. And within a space that was highly charged with racism at the university. So those are the people that also worked with me and held my hand up to where I am. Some of these are women that I grew up with who continue. And I mean, I cannot mention names. I'm mentioning Kanyani because he is well known. He's part of STASA. But I must say, many of them, women around me, I have networks of very powerful women, and they have always been there for me. The one downside of the academy as a black woman is how black women can see the potential and your skills and want to associate with you so that they can benefit from you. Edith, review this thing for me. Review this. Mark these students. You will be consumed with their work. The day you have a PhD, you want to say, can you mark this PhD? Or can you review an article? Or I've just written an article. Do you want to read my book? And you won't find them.
Yet he was the same one who was using you to get up.
Yeah, many. I've seen this, and I'm talking things that I could still take. And there are good men in the academy that have actually helped us. I mean, just to cite one black man who actually held my hand, Professor Sabelo Ndlovukacheni. He is the professor who's well known for decoloniality.
Yeah.
Yes. He didn't see a woman. He saw someone with potential that he can rope into when he wanted to form Aden. And these are the people that also held our hand when we needed to.
Oh, wow. You've said a mouthful, Professor. I think we need to go for a break. And then after the break, we'll continue more about the struggles and the challenges that women face in the space of academy. And how can we then, what needs to change, or what can we do to ensure that more women are attracted to the space of academics? See you right after the break. Welcome back. I'm still with Prof. Paswana, profiling her, asking her thought-provoking questions, and she's sharing more about herself with us and the journey that she's had as a black female professor in the universities, in the space of academics in South Africa. So what I also then wanted to ask Prof is, what is the greatest struggle currently for black female academics? And what is needed to change the status quo so that we see more black females coming into that space? Because I think it's a space that a lot of us just want to stay away from. You know, we just want to finish and go into being professionals and forget about the tough times we've had in varsity. So what needs to change?
Wow. The academia is a hostile place. And I'm not shocked that our young people will come and want to run away from it. But it's a very necessary endeavor that is needed for this country to be where it's supposed to be. This country needs more PhDs. This country needs more educated people at a higher level. We need skills. There are rare skills that we need to actually deal with in this country. And right now, you also realize that the level of postdocs actually tells you, the number of postdocs actually tells you that South Africans are not actually taking the postdoctoral studies, because you do postdoctoral studies if you want to publish and you want to stay in the academy. So most of our young people, they run to work. Of course, there are several factors. It cannot be just that. But this space is hard for blacks, and it's hard for women. So if you are a woman, the struggle is intersectional. It hits you at the level of class, at the level of race, at the level of gender. Perhaps maybe nationality or ethnicity. There are many, many categories of power that one can think about. But the major struggle now in the academy is a recognition. Recognition for work done, that resonate with the kind of remuneration that people get for taking certain position. Many of our universities are not remunerating black staff or black lecturers as they are supposed to. It's a bigger struggle, and downplayed, underplayed, and I'm hoping that somewhere this needs to be sorted out. Fairness is very important. And in the academy, like the rest of this society, because many of the things that happen in the society, they are reflected in the larger society. They come, also they follow us even to the workplaces. Gender-based violence. It's a serious issue for black women in the academy. A serious issue for young women who are coming to study at our universities. Sexual harassment, and you don't have effective sexual harassment programs at universities. And you wonder, how can we expect any other spaces when the core of thinking, the hub of intellectualism, does not have maybe gender policies? They are beginning to work on it. There is a ministerial tax team currently going on, which actually wants to deal with these matters. Because for some reason, young women out of the Fees Must Fall movement began to disrupt and wanted to actually do that. So that is a very biggest problem. Mental health. There is actually a book that by Malaika Azania, which was published, and it's taking to town with mental health at some of our universities. The kind of mental health that young women are suffering, because the space does not allow them to exist as humans. And when you go back to where our communities, where we're coming from as black people, mental health is something that is laughed upon. It's scorned. It's like when you are a crybaby, a prima donna. To an extent that young people are scared to even come up when they have mental health problems. At our universities, our young people, they are shown, okay, here there is psychiat or where you can go for psychological help. Young people are afraid to go because of the stigma of associated in terms of accessing that office. You carry a stigma. So these are some of the major problems for young female academics and students at our universities where we live. And I'm appealing to parents, I'm appealing to STASA to actually begin to look at counseling programs for young people, for STASA as well. Because we have a very serious problem. Our pastors need to visit STASA, be available for pastoral care of our students, because this is a major problem, mental health programs at our universities. It's a major problem. And the sketch of it, I cannot even explain it And it does not happen to Adventist young people only, but for many people, it does happen. Make time, we can win souls, people can begin to learn to know. And these are some of the things that must change as well within us as Adventists, to look after the flock that is there. I mean, I'm trained, I'm at the university every day. Young people come to me with these problems. I'm not trained to do this kind of work. So it becomes a problem when we don't have support systems, support structures. When we don't have a place. I mean, even our church, I don't want to approach this subject with some form of trepidation, like I don't want to go there. But even our churches, if you are a woman in our churches and you are experiencing gender-based violence in your family, you are experiencing all of this abuse, you have nowhere to go in this church as well. You have necessarily nowhere to go. And it's a problem. But we're supposed to be going together to heaven, the same journey, when people are hating and are being left behind. So I think I would really want to see this changing, where the STASM and STASA begin to address this type of problems at our universities as well.
100%. GBV is quite a problem in our country, and it is concerning when we are not even talking about it or want to pretend like it's something that is not happening, or even mental illness. In fact, I think it's a bit worse in the church, where you receive remarks like, hey, it's because you don't pray enough, or you don't read the Bible enough. That is why, as if people in the Bible were never depressed. You read about what Job was depressed. He wanted to kill himself. You read about Elijah. He was depressed. He also wanted to die, depressed to a point of, I don't want to live, life is not worth living anymore. So we have come to know and understand that it goes beyond just pray, but it could also be a chemical imbalance amongst other things that are happening and that are causing those mental breakdowns to take place. So 2020 has been quite a hectic year. It has been a tough year for us, especially in terms of our mental health, as you have alluded to, whereby people are just despondent and feeling like, I don't want to go on anymore, I'm tired. And it then makes me wonder, how have you pulled through this year? What has kept you going when it seemed like every door is just closing and shutting and life is just becoming more and more difficult? Lockdown happens and you can't see your students anymore. The conferences papers that you're supposed to present at some country somewhere, it's cancelled. And obviously you were hoping, we plan was that at such and such a time this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And then COVID happens and it just completely disrupts our lives. What has kept you going? What has kept you hanging in there and moving forward to the point where you are now, where you can say, I'm still sane through it all?
Oh, man. Hey, I'm one of those people who got COVID, by the way.
Oh, wow.
So 2020 has actually been a problem.
Yeah.
I live with at the time I lived with two young women in the house, and we all got COVID. It started with my young person at the university, and then through taking care of her, we also got COVID in the process. It's been a very difficult year. But I must say that knowing God and the platforms that were created to actually feed us. When you are sick, and sometimes certain things have to stop and you have to focus on healing. Yeah. It's interesting, when you are sick, your focus is on healing. Every other thing stops. You want to feel the same. You want to feel like yourself. And one of the things that happened with this period of lockdown, first, when the lockdown started, I was on my way because my sister was going to get married. Okay. And the announcement happened, I'm on my way, I have only 3 dresses. So I I was going to Limpopo. And I arrived there, there's lockdown, and I said, there's no way I'm coming back, you know. Sometimes I love the serenity that happens in the villages. It gives me a rest, proper mental rest, and psychological rest from the red race here in Johannesburg. So I when I want to unwind, that's what I do. So I said, no, will be a nice period. 21 days, I will spend it here. It's my home at my mom's. And I stayed there. But I saw that people were locked. They were not supposed to go anywhere, and people don't have food. And I started to cook for the families that were struggling. And I got a few group of young women, and then we started. That thing kept me sane, very sane. And we were cooking, driving with pots, stopping at houses, dishing into their pots, and going to another house with the big pots, and then we were dishing. We will do the whole day's meal during the 21 lockdown days. Because remember, when you are in the village, there are people with no cars. Yeah. They can't go to town. The taxis were not there, remember. So even if they had 10 rand to go and buy something, how will they get there? There were no taxis. Yeah, so I used my car to go and do, and that program gave me life, and the lockdown was lifted, and I had to come back because I also own a small dog. I had to come back here, and I was here. I got COVID, so things also changed and turned around, and I yearned for the word of God. At the time, I was very sick. I don't want to name the church that actually was doing prayer every hour, because when you are sick at 12 o'clock, you are up, people are sleeping, and I'm waiting for the Sabbath, the Adventist church to come on Sabbath, you know? Yeah. It was interesting. And I would listen to those churches. And I want to, the reason why I want to underscore this fact is how we need to learn to be responsive as a church. Yeah. To situations. There's a church, a big church there in Soweto. Let me not mention names, but they were praying every night. Of course, they have a particular way of praying in tongues, which I didn't understand. Okay. But before every pastor could do, they do read the word. And I ended up sitting at their feet, at the feet of that church, at the door of that church. This is online. Yeah. It needed not anyone to go and visit the churches. But I was listening. I was running. Support groups that I got also here assisted me. I joined support groups that were based in the US. I joined support groups because some places experienced COVID before us. I joined locally. I have a COVID support group as well. We also started, Pastor Chekera started one as well here, and we also started joining that one, and we joined another one in KZN. And that's what kept me sane during that time. And I just closed everything. The world shut down. My social media, I closed, and I didn't want to participate there. But I made sure that I announce on my social media where I'm going and why I won't be there. Because somebody lived out of that experience and understanding and knowing that I was sick. So somebody actually, people started calling me, my son is also having this thing, how are we doing? You know, my son is going through, my daughter is going through, my daughter is actually under quarantine. How did you survive? What can I drink when this is happening? And I realized that opening up myself, but don't open up when you are not ready and when you can't handle the attack that comes, and don't do it because somebody did it. Yes. I did it because I knew that I have the tenacity to stand whatever can come my way, and that's how I survived. But workplace also, we were transitioning at work into a new school, and that new school, we are building it from scratch. No systems at the moment. Starting with the structure and systems, we have to build it from scratch, and the courses and the programs. And sitting there and having to work under this condition of COVID when you are building a new school, because life has to continue.
Yeah.
And so what has actually kept me going is exercising and also praying, meditation. Prayer and meditation keeps me sane, and the little exercises that I do as well keeps me sane, I think.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. My goodness, the time is up. Time goes by so quickly when you're having fun. Thank you so much, Prof, for spending time with us and for allowing us to get to know you a bit better. And we're so glad that God has preserved your life so that you can continue to do the amazing work of transformation that you're doing. We pray that God can help you in all your future endeavors to be able to achieve even more than you have already. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to Stasa, and thank you to you.
Thank you. Bye.